Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Marshall, how are you today?
Doing fantastic, man.
5 minutes after our last episode when we recorded this.
Yes. After a bio break, we're back.
Right, exactly.
But we're kind enough to both our listeners that we don't make them sit there and wait while we go to the bio break and come
That's
back.
right.
So, we're that kind of guy.
Yeah. Space out all these nuggets of wisdom. Yeah, that's it.
That's right. Yes. So we've covered the 7 coaching questions out of the Coaching Habit book. And now bonus material.
Yeah.
Right. So this is our expertise, right? What we have learned in our travels down the coaching path.
Yeah, and some of this is in you'll find it in the Coaching Habit book. Some of it are things that I learned in my coaching training, books like Coactive Coaching, another good resource. But it's dawned on me as I've gone and worked with managers, in a number of organizations, that they're not really sure what this looks like. Like, we gave you the 7 questions. We told you how magical they are, but like, what do you do when you get into that coaching session? And
Right.
So we're trying to, in this episode, give you some tips on sort of what your behavior looks like. And so before we even get into that, I want to give a quote, Mike, if I can.
Please do.
This is the poet Robert, I believe it's Southey. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was the first person to publish Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I don't know that he came up with the story, but he was the first person to get it in print. So it's he's a poet from an older time, and he has this lovely quote. It is with words as with sunbeams. The more they are condensed, the deeper they burn.
Ooh.
So let that be an overall flow for this thing. Just ask the few words that are the necessary words, and let them have their impact. So a lot of the tips that you're going to hear revolve around making sure that stays the case.
Oh yeah, no, I think you're spot on, and you talk about what we should do. As I look through your list of tips, right, a whole lot of it is what you shouldn't do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so we got some here's some stuff you can do, and here's some stuff that's potentially a landmine. Don't step on it.
Yeah, that's it. So should I just start going here, and we'll talk about each of these bullet points as we go?
You should start with the first one, or we'll continue to violate it.
You're right. So the first one is avoid long setups. So, hey, if words are just like sunbeams and we want them nice and condensed, just ask the dang question instead of saying, I was thinking about what you said about this, and given that the market is doing this, and some of your customers have said XYZ, I was wondering. And then you ask the question. Nah, just ask the question. They know what's going on in their life. Just ask the question. Even if they don't know what's going on in their life, just ask the question, because it forces them to address that question instead of going all over the map with the million things that you said.
Oh yeah. And depending on the behavioral style, when you talk about DISC and things like that, right? Yep. I've got a D or an S. They're sometimes they'll even interrupt you and go, "So what do you want?"
Right.
Right. The setup is killing me.
I can tell you C's do that as well, because my wife will turn to me, and because naturally I do this. I like talking,
Yes.
And my wife will say, I'll say all this stuff, and then I'll say, "So what do you think?" And she'll say, "I don't even know what you said. You just talked in a big circle, Yeah. So
I quit listening.
Right. She tried really hard.
Yeah. When you took that, trip to the bakery,
Right.
I didn't go with you. I don't know where you went. So
Right.
Yeah, the long setup, right? Just get into it,
Yeah.
and doesn't negate the fact that you can have a great conversation. You may have a long conversation after that. But,
Oh yeah.
the what's on your mind question. Just I've noticed that you've been blah 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 blah.
Right.
What's on your mind?
Yeah.
Skip that. Yeah, just
Yep.
just dive into it. What's on your mind, and then you'll have a conversation that will be more focused. And then you can ask the what else question, and all of a sudden you're into the good stuff, and you haven't wasted, because all this time is finite, right? The time that you have with the person you're coaching is finite. Get to the good stuff.
Yep. Even if it's uncomfortable, the fact that you're talking means they're not thinking. Right. Get to where they're talking so that they're thinking, and that we're going to get into that. So a related tip, tip number 2. Ask one question at a time. And in my coach training, we called this stacked questions. Don't stack your questions. An example might be, what do you think's going on? What do you want to do about it? Whoa. Those are 2 totally different questions to tackle, totally different things to process. Let them focus on one thing at a time, mainly because your brain can only do one thing at a time. So pick a question, run with it until you go dry on the insights from that, then move on to the next question. No stacked questions.
Oh yeah. And I've even had people that, are very aware, and I'll do this. I'll ask 3 questions and then pause, and they'll go, which one you want me to answer?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Where would you like me to start?
Yeah.
So I realized, I've done a terrible job. I've asked multiple questions. They don't even know where to begin. And I've confused the person that confused the conversation. So yeah, it's bad.
All right. So very much related, tip 3. And Mike, I wonder if you've ever heard an expression, the first one to talk
loses.
Yeah. So notice what happened there. I wasn't afraid of the silence. I knew eventually you'd fill it because I had asked the question. Where does the burden of answering the question lie?
Oh yeah, and this is standard sales, sales training.
That's right.
You ask your customer a question, and then be quiet.
Right.
Shut up is the harsher version of that.
Yeah.
I like
so the tip here is to shut up. We should go ahead and lead with that, I guess. Right.
Stop talking. Right.
Yeah.
And then I'm always, when we're talking about coaching, I always ask the reverse of this. I'll ask, okay, if you're a manager and you see your salesperson interacting with the customer, if it's going great, what percentage of the time should the customer be talking versus the salesman be talking?
Yeah.
And they always give you the same answer. Oh yeah, the customer's got to be talking 70, 80% of the time.
Right.
Salesperson needs to be talking about 20% of the time.
Right.
If it's reversed, if the salesman's doing all the talking, it's not going well. The statistical odds of this sale happening are greatly diminished.
Yeah.
And so we just extrapolate that and say, okay, the exact same thing applies to your coaching.
Right.
If you're coaching and you're doing 80% of the talking, it's not going very well.
Right.
You are not going to create the behavioral change that you're looking for. It's not going to happen because you're lecturing. If you're a villain in a superhero movie, you're monologuing.
Yeah, that's right.
The villain always monologues. I'm planned for world domination and beware my power.
Yep.
And everybody's going,
uh-huh.
You're wearing me out.
Checked out.
Yeah. And this is, to me, this is heartening, because like in our line of work, many of the managers were great salespeople.
Right.
And so once they're able to make the connection between their sales skills and their coaching skills, all of a sudden it clicks. And so if they were a consultative salesperson and they were asking, they'd come up with great sales questions, and then they could, like you said, be quiet and let the person answer. If they apply those same techniques to coaching, it goes great.
Yeah, going back to sales, I think, what I've seen in the best salespeople is that they're just not afraid to ask good questions and then shut up. Or do you, are you ready to buy this car today? And the answer is going to be, one of 2 things, yes or no. And if it's no, there's a reason. So you shut up and listen to that answer. Either way, you've served this customer, right? Because you've reached the end of the transaction process, or they've told you, hey, here's the issue I have, and I need you to help me solve it. Can I get this car in blue? Whatever it is, you've got to the objection so that you can address it, serve that customer so that they can make a purchase and move on, or not. But either way, you've reached the end of that process. But you can't do it unless you shut up. Same applies with your people that you're trying to coach. They need to tell you what's going on. They're not going to do that unless you shut up and let them do that. So anyway, we've probably beat a dead horse there.
No, it's so important. I think it's worth beating.
Right. Thank you.
Definitely. So you've got your third bullet point. Choose open-ended what and how questions to help the client explore.
Yeah. So what we mean by that is if you ask a what question and often a how question, it's open-ended in that they can explore, right? It could go any direction, right? What makes this a challenge for you, right? Is one of our questions that we ask. What are the factors involved here? Just helping them explore the things going on, instead of saying, do you think it has to do with that you are shy on the phone? I've just set that up to where, it's almost a leading question, right? And we're, that doesn't help anybody. People know that it's a leading question. They know that you're trying to get them to say a certain thing. So let them genuinely explore, because they really may need to do that to unlock what's actually going on for themselves and gain awareness.
Well, and that comes up in Michael Bungay Stainer's book, The Coaching Habit and the Advice Trap. And so he spends a lot of time talking about, do not give advice in the form of questions.
Yeah.
It's not working. They see through it.
Yeah, they know.
You think you'd do better if you made more calls. Right. Well, that sounded like a question.
Right.
It was formatted like a question, but actually I guess I've heard it called a steering question, where you're steering them towards the answer you want, and it's pretty obvious, and it doesn't work.
Right.
So yeah, they will tell you what you want to hear. Yes, I would be more successful if I made more calls. Fantastic. I'm glad we had this talk.
Right.
Like, no, what is it? A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still.
I never heard that. That's good.
Yeah. So you've convinced me. I knew what answer you wanted. I gave it to you. I'm not going to do that.
But I'm not going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just bad. And so this ties perfectly into your next bullet point, which is one of my favorites.
Avoid the why questions, and you have to share with them. And Mike, we should tell people you're writing a book about some of these topics, and it's phenomenal. I have seen drafts of it. It's lovely. Can't wait to share it with my clients. But this whole thing about avoiding why questions, some people say, oh, that's not that big a deal. But you say, if you don't think it's a big deal, you have a challenge for them.
Oh, yeah. All you have to do is wait for your significant other or spouse to walk in the room and just go, why'd you wear that top? And just let me know how it goes.
Yeah,
right. Go with the dinner, sit down to the supper table. So why'd you make this for supper? just try it. Get back with us. Let us know in the comments how the whole why thing's working out for you.
And if you're not sure why this is so funny to us, we really encourage you to honor this tip, because it's going to blow up in your face if you do it.
Oh yeah. The why is it's just let's fight.
And we should say that, that in all seriousness, there are ways that this causes defensiveness and a wall to come up in a professional setting. Why aren't you reaching your goal? Now, look, I can say it with a tone in my voice. Why aren't you reaching your goal? And probably in certain cultures, in certain ways that, if the relationship's there, people aren't going to take offense at that. But there's a way that can come across that does make people say, you're judging me. And wait a minute, there's extenuating circumstances you don't even know. But so a different way to ask it is, what gets in the way of you reaching your goal?
Mm-hmm.
What is getting in the way?
Yeah, anytime you're about to tee up a why question, it's worthwhile to spend that little extra moment to do exactly what you did. How do I craft it into a what question?
That's it.
Or even tell me about, just so tell me about what went into the decision, just anything but why. And there are some specific coaching tools where you can ask a why question, but it requires 2 setup questions. You got to ask 2 what questions, and then you can ease into a why question in a very specific form. But other than that, until you're, at the advanced pro level, if you hear the word why coming out of your mouth, just know it's probably not going to go well. And if you can stop it, circle back, come up with a what, a how, a tell me about question, and then all of a sudden things are going to go much better.
Well said. Well said. So in our first session in this series, we talked about just our suggestion that, take a question and try to use it. See if you can go through a whole session with only questions. Can you see if you can discipline yourself to do that. But that's not all that coaching is. You are allowed to make observations. And typically it's reflecting back the answers you hear. So that's the tip here, is reflect back what you think you hear them saying. It sounds like you feel frustrated by how this process is going. It sounds like you see the fact that you don't have the new product understood as well as you'd like is really affecting your close rate, whatever it is. A couple of magic things happen here. One is you're going to make sure you actually understand the client, because they may say, oh, no, that I know that's what it sounded like to you, but that's not it. And they'll give you some clarity. It also allows that client to know that they're really, truly being listened to. And you will be shocked at how often that is just an absolute blessing to that person. They have not been heard in a long time. Some of them haven't been heard even at home in a long time. And the fact that you're listening to them and really trying to understand where they're coming from is just a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
It also, I should say, it also buys you some time. If you have no clue what you're going to say next, you can just sort of reflect back what you think you heard. Just buys you, 10 more seconds of thinking time. What am I going to say next?
Yeah. What question am I going to ask next?
That's right. That's right.
And so what's really fun about this one is when you get it right, the smile, they're so excited. They're like, they lean in, right? You get a physical lean in and they go, yes, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we're connected here, right? We're both seeing the same thing. We can have a conversation about what next, because we are literally on the same page as far as the issue goes. And so, and even if you don't get it right, they will correct you.
Yeah. You could be wrong.
It's really more of this.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Great.
Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to know, because I was about to embark down a line of questioning that wasn't relevant to what truly is your discomfort, your attraction, your pain, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I asked it on a recent coaching session where the person was trying to make a decision between A or B. Just, the issue doesn't matter, but A or B, not sure which I'm going to do. And, the talk went on for 30 minutes and I just said, it sounds like you only have examples of why A would be the correct answer, and you have no examples of how B would be the correct answer. Silence. Good sign. You hear silence, that means they're thinking. And all of a sudden the person goes, yeah, I've already made my decision about A. I'm just nervous about it. Okay, that's the real issue, right? That's what we're actually talking about is, okay. Yeah. So these things can be powerful. You have to be careful about how you use them, because you don't want to, be guilty of leading somebody. But if it helps them explore by reflecting back what you think you hear, it can be a powerful thing.
Oh, most definitely. And so, I've heard one of our fellow coaches, Pamela Cole, she calls it framing. So what you did was you framed, here's what I'm seeing. Here's the framework of what I'm seeing.
Right.
That provides clarity to the person, and then they're able to go, oh, yeah, I've already gone down a path. It was your framing of what I'm hearing that ultimately allowed me to see it for myself more clearly, enunciate it, and move forward.
Well, that's a great wrap up statement to make, because the whole point of any of this coaching, anything you've heard in the 3 episodes of this series, it's really about people getting some clarity so they can take action. They've got to have an insight, some awareness, and then they've got to go do something that helps them make progress. And if you have done nothing in your coaching session except help them get some clarity, you've made progress.
Oh, definitely. And let's be vulnerable here for a second. All of these things are on our list because we've screwed them up.
Oh, amen.
Yes. We have violated.
We are preaching to ourselves right now.
Yeah. We know these are really important because we've messed it up.
Yeah.
So and
like I messed it up this week. I mean, these are constant battles.
Still messing it up. Yeah, 100%. So the goal is to fewer and fewer, right? Continue to hone the game, but know that you're going to make these mistakes and it's okay.
That's right.
And we're still making them, but we're trying to get a little bit better each and every day. And that's why we're sharing our learnings, our personal learnings with you.
I think that's great. And again, we would just say, hey, what's been most useful that you've heard in this session? And go do something with that.
Excellent. Let's throw it over to our announcer, like we've got a booth and producers and stuff.
And there you have it, another session of contemporaneous extemporizing from Mark and Mike. I know it's redundant, but consider who we're talking about. As always, feel free to share the ideas you heard here. No rights are reserved, no permissions needed. Thanks. See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.